Fiancée made all of her friends ban me on social media and claimed both of her parents had died months before our wedding. When I visited her town, I discovered her mother was okay. So my fiancée, GF, age 32, does not want me, age 28, to talk to her best pals before marriage. We've been dating for the past 2.5 years, and it's primarily been public. Public in the sense that both she and I like posting images or videos of ourselves from travels or moments spent together, and we made it plain on Instagram that we were in a relationship. However, she does not have many real-world followers on Instagram, either from work or in her personal life. She has around 7 or 8 really good friends with whom she gets together on a regular basis, as well as one cousin. We are both mature adults who have chosen to marry in November or December of 2024, since we first started dating. So I decided it would be best if I also introduced her to my family last month. So I obtained her permission and decided to meet with my family in a nice restaurant in the city. My family got to know her, liked her, and agreed to set a date for our wedding. But my girlfriend stated it would be too early for her to marry this year, so we agreed to set the wedding date for February 2025, 6 months from now. In my city, it is customary to reserve wedding halls ahead of time in order to secure a suitable venue. So I obtained her agreement, discussed it with my family, and reserved a wedding hall. A few days later, she went ahead and rented a venue for her portion of the celebration. In our culture, it is customary to throw receptions for both the bride and the groom's families. So far, I've made her meet my family and a female friend of mine who lives in a separate town with her boyfriend, and both encounters were well planned. She may have also met another buddy of mine by mistake in the mall. However, I've never met her pals in that manner. Only once or twice did I meet some friends by chance when driving my girlfriend somewhere, and 2 or 3 of her friends joined us, and we only spoke a few words while we drove. However, her friends were aware that we were dating, of course. Now, a bizarre occurrence occurred last week that left me perplexed. She received a text from an Instagram buddy. Prior to this, I had only communicated with her acquaintance once, perhaps a year ago. When my girlfriend wasn't talking to me after we had an argument, I contacted her friend and respectfully requested her to talk to my girlfriend once. Since she is a wonderful friend, she answered, "Okay, I will definitely talk." Also, I texted her buddy since I believed my girlfriend at the time was going through a lot of difficulties and would benefit from having a friend to talk them properly, as she had a large financial loan and had a conflict with me and her family for various reasons. Shortly after, I received a call from my girlfriend about me DMing her buddy on Instagram, and she demanded that I never communicate to her again. I was astonished, but I cooperated because our relationship was not secure at the time, and I allowed her space to settle. And after a time that day, I received a message from her buddy saying, "I'm sorry, I can't help you with this." And she banned me on Instagram. I was okay and didn't respond, thus this was last year's occurrence. Now, this same buddy texted me unexpectedly last week because she was unable to reach my girlfriend over the phone and was concerned about what was happening. I respectfully responded, saying, "Hey, she's fine. Probably busy with office work. I'll notify my girlfriend that you're trying to contact her." I contacted my girlfriend and told her that her buddy had called, to which she replied, "Oh Lord, why does she have to text you? Please ban her on Instagram." It was strange to block a buddy while also being immature. So I told her I wouldn't, and my girlfriend said if I wanted, her buddy would. A few seconds later, I noticed I had been blocked again on Instagram by her buddy. Actually, this time it got me a bit irritated, so I texted her on her other Instagram name and told her, "Hey, how are you doing? I didn't like what you just did, and this is not a very respectable way to communicate with someone." I also stated that if your spouse has any self-respect, he should not text my girlfriend while you're having problems. Then she said, "Hey, my husband, me, and her were in her life long before you came along." After that, I calmly said that I did not mean to ruin their connection and just wanted to strengthen it, and that I felt insulted for being blocked twice when all I wanted to do was chat to them once or meet them. So she didn't respond and notified my girlfriend, who became enraged and upset with me since I alluded to her friend's spouse. I believed that was the only reasonable way to express myself. I was serious about her, so I had her meet my family and friends. She had no family members, her parents had died, and her relatives were living in other countries or far away. However, her friends would be the ones to attend our wedding from her side. So I expected her to take me more seriously, and not ask her friends to ban me, at least on Instagram. She frequently visits this female friend's house, and they occasionally have sleepovers, and even parties with this friend and her husband in their home for birthday parties or other reasons. I never had the opportunity to go out or meet any of her friends in an official way. I mentioned to her a few times that your acquaintance occasionally takes her spouse and baby to group sessions. So perhaps I can go along and meet them once. However, she is adamantly opposed to this, and the current blocking event has me very concerned. My girlfriend claims that my ex-boyfriends have previously troubled my friends, and I do not want this to happen again. But this certainly made sense until about a year ago, But now that we're getting married in 6 months, she's hesitant and says she'll introduce me to them until after the wedding. Furthermore, when she marries, these friends will most likely have to assist her in fulfilling her part of the deal by reducing her tasks because she has no one else. So I needed to speak with them as well about our forthcoming wedding preparations. I haven't spoken to my girlfriend in the last 2 days because of this, and she is also concerned about the marriage now that I have expressed a wish to meet her friends, and she claims that I will be controlling in the future. I believe she will text or call me back shortly. Am I asking the correct thing by asking her to introduce me to her friends? What should I do? Update 1: a few days ago, I 28M blogged about my girlfriend 32F, asking one of her best friends to ban me on Instagram. It hasn't been long since the blocking incident, but I was astonished to find today that my girlfriend's mother, whom she has always referred to as deceased, is not actually dead. So a few weeks ago, the girl's closest friend, who was already married with 1 child, texted me to find out where my girlfriend was since she couldn't reach her. When my girlfriend found out, she immediately requested me to block her, which I rejected, but she then forced that best friend to block me, and the rest of the tale is already in the prior article. Since then, I have been unable to trust her. My girlfriend has always told me that there is no one in her family. She stated that she was a single child whose parents had passed away. She used to go to her countryside home every 3 to 4 months to see her aunt, who she claimed was the only one living there, but everything felt strange. And every time she went there, she would spend at least 2 to 3 days. There were other things that appeared wrong, such as when she received a phone call, her contact name shown as Dad Home, and a lady on the other end spoke, whom she always referred to as her aunt. My GF has already met my parents, and we plan to marry in February. My parents were worried about our marriage since they didn't appreciate the secrecy and the fact that my girlfriend asked her closest friend to block me. I just assumed it was due to generational differences and tried to persuade my parents that it wasn't such a huge deal. But my parents didn't like this arrangement, so one day last week, they went to my girlfriend's job and asked a coworker if she knew anything about her parents. But that coworker knew little about her family. I know my parents did not do the proper thing, but they were probably able to see the odd things from an outsider's perspective and were simply concerned about my safety. Later, I attempted to persuade them that doing such actions in the workplace is inappropriate. They promised not to ask again, but they also advised me to conduct thorough research before committing to marriage. So I attempted to consider my parents' point of view as well as the issue from an outsider's standpoint, which was making me agitated. My girlfriend wouldn't let me communicate to any of her friends or relatives, or follow them on social media. And the explanation she used to offer for not presenting her family was that her family would never approve of her marriage since intercaste or intercommunity weddings are still not widely recognized in some regions of India. But she was always bragging about her parents' open-mindedness and how contemporary her upbringing was, and she used to mock my family for being suspicious and backward. She also used to remark that if her parents were living today, they would have undoubtedly come to the wedding. My parents liked my GF right away when they met her for the first time and were quite excited about the marriage. My father even volunteered to cover the wedding expenses for her side because she wasn't doing well financially. But they became suspicious when she had her best buddy ban me. All of this made me quite suspicious, so I decided to pay a visit to her remote hamlet cottage today just to make sure. I went there pretending to seek for someone else, and when I knocked on the door, her mother stepped out. I know it was her mother since my girlfriend showed me images of her mother before. It was genuinely like meeting a ghost. She appeared to be a fit and lovely woman, smiling and looking exactly like my girlfriend. My girlfriend and I haven't been communicating properly since the day my parents went to her office. She branded my parents insane and whatnot for doing such a thing, and she was upset, saying that people in my town are intelligent, crafty, and crazy, and that they spy on people, but she never recognized that she spoke such a large lie to our family. And I conceded to her that asking in her office was inappropriate. But it's not acceptable for her to speak so negatively about my family when she was acting suspiciously, asking friends and relatives to block me and fake her mother's death. I haven't discussed this with my girlfriend, and I'd like to know what I should make of this. This was a major deception, and I don't see any acceptable rationale for it. Her father had died, as I learned from residents nearby, and her mother was living there with her aunt, who lived in a different house just down the street. I just want to know whether there is any good rationale or judgment that can be applied to this circumstance, since I can't think of any. Her mother appeared well and healthy to me, approximately 50 to 60 years of age. Update 2. It's been approximately a month after I raised my query concerning my fiancée's strange behavior and lying about her mother's death. Today I thought I'd write a little update on the issue because many of you have asked for it. I was taken aback for several days after learning that her mother was still alive. But I gradually began to feel better, though I was still curious to know whether I had done anything wrong, especially because I had seen both her good and terrible sides. Now that some time has gone and I can think more clearly, while I still mourn her, I reflect on what I know about her. She has a genuine sensitivity for animals and has adopted or helped numerous street animals throughout our 3 years together. I've seen her be happy, sad, and vulnerable. I've seen her positive aspects, but she's also been quite critical of my neighborhood, language, parents, and even me. She certainly acted inappropriately, such as restricting engagement with her friends and lying about her mother's death, among other things. She also lied to me previously, which I regard to be the second most serious lie after the claim of her mother's death. This happened one night when she came in my city a day earlier than expected from her village. I discovered out because I had frequently called her. She stated she wanted to surprise me, but we didn't meet that day because she requested me not to come over, claiming she was exhausted and sick. I phoned her several times, but she did not answer. The next morning, I went to her place and found she was not there. A few hours later, she contacted me from a friend's phone and said that she had gone to her friend's house because her friend's boyfriend had arrived to stay, and the watchman refused to let another man into the apartment. To conceal their true identity, they pretended to be relatives. I forgive her for lying that time and choose to trust her again. In retrospect, that was another enormous deception, the second largest of our entire relationship. The phony mother's death remains the first. About 7 or 8 days ago, I observed her regularly making WhatsApp messages about how I treated her poorly, how she was lonely, and how I ended our relationship. During that time, I went to a party with several boys and ladies, and I noticed her posting articles that directly defamed me, despite the fact that we had officially broken up and I had every right to mingle with anyone I chose. That day, I texted her after reading her status updates. I was outraged about what she had posted, but I also wanted to know why she had lied about her mother's death. She answered with a lengthy response, but in summary, she cited the following reasons. 1. She said she lied about her mother's death since her mother was never treated with respect in their previous relationship. Her ex probably never allowed her to remain at her mother's village house for more than 2 days. 2. Her ex-boyfriend went out in the city with other females and most likely cheated on her while her mother was in the hospital. 3. She believed that if she lied about her mother's death, she would be treated with respect, much like her deceased father was. None of the explanations she provided appeared serious enough for me to trust. I pointed out that 90% of her reasons were linked to her ex-boyfriend and asked her why she needed to lie about her mother, especially because I had always been supportive of her family concerns. I informed her that her explanations made no sense to me at all. She then told me that I was mistaken in assuming she has narcissistic personality disorder. I told her that once before, since she never apologizes and uses gaslighting to mask her own mistakes, and I read online that these might be indicators of NPD and advised her to get professional treatment. She stated that she had seen a psychologist who diagnosed her with CPTSD, which can occasionally result in narcissistic tendencies. Even so, I don't understand how it justifies fabricating such a sophisticated tale about her mother in order to deceive both me and my parents, including providing a particular date for her mother's death anniversary. She was also furious with my parents since they considered the entire thing odd and began asking questions. Although I feel awful for her and believe she may be suffering from some behavioral difficulties, I also believe there is a deeper, more intricate secret, whether hers or her family's, that has resulted in all of these stories. In my final chat with her, I made it obvious that, no matter what she says, we are not in a position to save the marriage. I don't want to hurt her by questioning her, and I don't want to harm myself. Trust is something that cannot be restored after everything that has occurred, so I urged her to just tell me the truth. However, she did not say anything meaningful that I could contemplate. Next, I spent everything I had on her engagement ring, but she felt it was too tiny and not unique enough. Months later, I discovered she was having an affair with her coworker. Before I proposed, I spent a lot of time shopping online and in stores for the greatest ring I could afford, which turned up to be a 1-carat diamond solitaire. My girlfriend, 29F, he dislikes the ring and wants a different one. All of the ones she showed me are larger and cost more than I can afford. She stated she would accept my proposal if I gave her a different ring and a do-over because she was upset that I proposed at home and did nothing spectacular. To be honest, I'm a little upset that she's so concerned with getting a larger and more costly ring. I want her to be happy and have a ring she likes, but she seems obsessed on how little my old one was, and I don't feel good about it. My heart crushed when she said no. As I stated in my original complaint regarding the ring, the diamond is too tiny. For the proposal, I replicated the lunch she prepared for me on our second date and proposed on our balcony, surrounded by candles and her favorite smell. I hope this addresses your questions. Update 1: I informed my girlfriend that if she likes a different style of ring than the one I bought her, I could purchase her a new one because I obviously want her to enjoy a ring she will wear every day. I'd either keep the original ring as my engagement ring because she's made it apparent she won't purchase me one herself. Alternatively, I might return it and put the money towards her new ring. The ring I had purchased, a 1-carat Usher solitaire, was the most I could afford. Her objection was that it was too little, and the other rings she showed me as examples of what she desired were much too pricey for me to buy. I confess it caused a few conflicts because everything exceeded the price I told her I could afford. She advised that I find a brief side job to help me save money. I've told her it will take me a couple of years to save for what she wants. But she insists that if I love her, I'll find a way. I am not averse to another ring. However, we disagree on the budget. The proposal, my replicating the meal she prepared for me shortly after we began dating, and placing candles she enjoys on the balcony were also not what she desired. She wants a public proposal, and I misread her need for something unique. She did not mention public, and I did not assume it. We now know what she wants. I just wanted to thank everyone for their support and kind words. I haven't decided whether I'll keep the original ring and wear it as my engagement ring yet, or return it because it will only make a little dent in the cash my girlfriend wants for her ring. I'm not even sure how or if I'm going to save for another ring. Truthfully, the whole incident has put a damper on the prospect of getting engaged for the time being. Thank you again, everyone. Update 2 August 21st, 2024. Backstory: when I, at the age of 30, wanted to propose to my fiancée, I got her the most expensive ring I could afford. It was a 1K Osher cut solitaire. When I proposed, I replicated the lunch from our second date and proposed on our balcony, surrounded by candles. My girlfriend replied that she would only marry me if I got her a new ring. All of the samples she showed me were far larger and more expensive than I could afford. She had informed me that if I gave her a new ring, she would accept my proposal, and that it would be a do-over because she was also dissatisfied that I proposed at home. She did not like the proposal or the ring. The update is that I tried to connect with her and find a solution since I adore her. She was the person I wanted to spend my life with. We had several disagreements, and she recommended getting a second job to acquire a nicer ring. She said I misunderstood when she stated I wanted a spectacular proposal since what I did was not unique. I chose to retain the ring because I couldn't return it and would lose money if I sold it. I was looking for a solution, and my girlfriend was offering alternatives. I believed we'd work things out, but approximately 6 months. After my previous post, my girlfriend left me for a coworker. She said the romance began after I proposed. Last I heard, they were still together and either traveling in the United States. When my girlfriend departed, she stole most of our belongings. Essentially, I had to start over. It was challenging. My family stopped talking to me once I started dating women. They do not endorse same-sex partnerships. I received a lot of support in both of my postings, but there was also a lot of negative feedback. The bulk of messages I received were also unfavorable. Despite the fact that I have stated in my blogs that I am a woman, many individuals overlook this fact. I received several comments and messages about how males do not realize how crucial the ring and proposal are to women. Even those who did not mistake me for a male stated my proposal was ineffective and the ring was horrible. My proposal was criticized for being horrible, and the majority of the replies I received echoed remarks about putting in more effort or being a better partner. There were some insults too, and many of them expressed sympathy for my partner. I learned from this experience. I am not currently in a relationship, but if I do meet someone, I will make an effort to be a better companion.